invasions. So the invasion of Normandy was on June 6, 1944. This is still the largest amphibious assault and invasion in modern history. It was a crucial moment of World War II, because at this moment we had our allies invading from the east in Russia, and then we had our troops coming through Italy for the south. So the last thing we need was a strong foothold in the west to finally just collapse everything upon in Berlin. The main points of this, I'm going to talk about some of the events that happened before D-Day, what happened during D-Day, and then the results afterwards on the first day. The major part of this was the construction of the Atlantic Wall. Hitler went this designed to try to stop any kind of advancement of the Allies in the West. He put Field Marshal Erwin Rommel in command. A Field Marshal is basically the rank of general in the European standards of military. He basically added more landmines, barbed wire fences, reconstructed the bunkers, more anti-air guns, and more turrets, and much more machinery to try to impede any kind of advancement. And this stretched all the way from the coast of France all the way to Norway. Some of the other things that happened, Russia was pushed in from Eastern Europe. After the Battle of Stalingrad, it was a major turning point, and they continued to push the Nazis out of Russia and further back to the west. And then America and Britain together after the operation in Africa and Italy, we were pushing for the southern part of Europe. And then the next thing was for Hitler to decide were we going to attack at Pas-de-Calais or Normandy. We created the first U.S. Army group. It was basically a decoy group with fake machinery, vehicles, both real troops walking around. It looked like we were actually creating an invasion at the closest point between England and France across the English Channel, but we were actually amassing further south in England to attack Normandy. And then finally, our paratroopers, around midnight on June the 5th into the early parts of June the 6th, we had paratroopers landing behind enemy lines with the sole purpose of destroying certain strategical points, taking certain objectives, and to basically just cause some confusion behind the German line. The initial day of the invasion occurred on June 6, 1944. It was actually supposed to be on June 5th, but due to weather, astronomers and meteorologists kind of decided we can hold off one more day just because the weather would be a little better the next day. That's why we did it on June 6th. And the main objective of this was to take the 5 operation codenamed beaches of Omaha, Utah, Gold, Juno, and Sword. And I'm going to go over what happened a little bit at each one of those. First, Omaha Beach is one that most people know in history. It was the most bloodiest of all of them. America was the sole country responsible for taking this. We landed there around 6:30 a.m., but we had paratrooper and bombardment raids earlier that morning attacking this point, but the bombardment strikes had little to no effect. So basically our troops were going in there basically facing the whole strength of the German defenses of the entire 352nd Division. And approximately 1,000 dead and another 3,000 casualties occurred just here at Omaha by itself. Next was Utah. This was also one of the America was responsible for taking by themselves. There were a lot of mislandings due to weather, wind currents, and they actually landed a few miles south of where they were supposed to. And actually, to a lot of them, was actually thankful for that because they met little to no resistance, and there were less casualties from those units that ended up south. And approximately 3,396 casualties occurred, which was purely the ground troops, the paratrooper troops, and any of the tank and armored troops that were trying to come ashore. Next was Sword Beach. The British troops had this one. They had to take it around, and they landed at 7:25 a.m. There was no heavy resistance until after the capture of it. They met and actually had to attack one of the German Panzer divisions that was actually behind the line. They didn't realize it was there until after they had already taken the beachhead. And just because of that, there was only approximately about 683 casualties that occurred there. Next was Juno. The Canadians had the sole responsibility of taking this one at 7:38 a.m. They landed. This one was a little bit delayed due to weather. And again, just like at Omaha, the air bombardment and airstrikes had little to no effect, but there wasn't as much forces there as there was at Omaha, which led the reason why there was only 340 dead, 574 wounded, and about 47 captured. And then finally at Gold Beach, this was also the British had just went by themselves to capture the land around 7:25 a.m. A lot of high winds did cause the landings to come too close to shore, which caused problems for armor and tanks to try to roll onto the beaches. And of course, the casualties were between 1,000 to 1,100, with 350 being killed. With that, the end results of the initial invasion, about 17 to 18 miles of land was occupied and liberated. The key areas captured and liberated were the La Rivera, the Berneras, the Bourbille-sur-Mer, Colleville, St. Lawrence-Saint-Mer, and then the bridges over the Orne River and the town of St. Mary-les. In conclusion, this is one of the most important operations of the war because it allows us to have a strong and a good foothold in the west to allow all the Allies finally to come together to collapse upon Berlin. Sadly, the first day there were over 10,000 casualties and 4,414 dead, and throughout the entire operation and invasion there were thousands upon thousands more. All this showed courage and the sacrifice that all these troops and allies were willing to give just to stop someone like Adolf Hitler from ever trying to rule over the world. With that, any questions?